After the unpredictable nature of Rally Sweden, where Hyundai's Esa-Pekka Lappi scored his first WRC win, the championship trades the snow for the tricky gravel of Safari Rally Kenya. The rally dates back to 1953 and is regarded as one of the most gruelling on the calendar. So a real challenge for the drivers then. I'm Tom Howard and this is a special edition of Gravel Notes podcast where I'm joined by our resident co-host Luke Barry and a special guest in M Sport podium finisher Adrien Fourmaux. And with all of our guests, we like to ask them a few questions just to introduce themselves to you, the listener, and to us as well. So we'll start with, firstly, welcome Adrien, how are you?
Thank you. I hope you are well also. So for me, it's okay. So happy to be here with you today.
Good stuff. Well, I'll start with then a quick question then. Your first rally memory. Tell me what you remember first of rallying.
Well, there was one with a standard car. So I was like a 0-0 car for the VHT. It was with my brother. So it was in 2017. It was the Rallye des Routes du Nord, and it was with a Subaru, but a standard car. That was nice because there was nothing, no pressure, etc. But I was really looking forward for the real first rally, which was the Rallye 2K, which we'll spend also this weekend. But for me, it was in 2017. It was with the Ford Fiesta R2 National. Where I did finish 22, I think, on overall class. So it was a good start. That was muddy. That was really, really muddy. But yeah.
What would you say is the best thing about being a rally driver? You know, what's the best thing about your job?
The best thing is when you like driving. We drive with many different roads. It's never the same. Every corners are different. We are going to as we said, Rally 2K is very different than Monte Carlo, than Sweden, than Kenya, and etc. So it's really fantastic that we always have to change our driving depending the rallies and also the conditions also. So there is many different parameters, and so then I think it's the best, and also for sure also the travel. We are traveling quite a lot, so it's quite interesting.
We're also doing this with all of our guests. We'd like to sort of know what your ultimate World Rally Championship team would be. So if you had to run a team, what two drivers from history and what car would you pick?
Can I be in the team, or has it been?
You can if you want, but it's up to you. You can choose yourself if you like.
I see you've got to pick yourself. You've got to pick yourself. You have to.
Well, for sure, I think I would take a young driver, so I would take myself. But then also we need an experienced driver. I think because I'm French, I will take one of the two Sebs, or maybe differently. I could choose maybe François Delecourt. So at least we have two guys from France, but in the north. That would be nice. And then the car. I think I really would like to see the old school cars, you know, when we were back in the 90s, like the Group A or even the Group B. That would be interesting. I know it's completely different how we are, but it's something that is so far now. So what we are driving, that would be interesting. After which car, I think maybe not the car, but just the best team. So we need to find which one was the best at that time.
He's hedging his bets. So, but a Group A car is a very good choice, I have to say. I applaud that. So, good stuff. Well, okay. Well, let's move on to some chat then. Obviously, we've had some time since Rally Sweden. Obviously, a massive rally for yourself. Your first WRC podium. You've had some time now to think about it. What are your thoughts about that achievement? Because it was a really, really impressive drive from yourself.
Well, to be fair, I think nobody expected us to be at that level, especially in Sweden. So I think it's even more valuable. So really pleased with what we have achieved in a really tricky conditions on Friday, and then on Saturday fighting with Elfin. So it's good because last year I was in WRC 2. So to now be back in the Rally 1 and then be in the third in the championship, but also getting my first podium. For sure, it's like some relief, and also I can be proud of it. I think it's a quite good comeback, and so then now, but for now, nothing have really changed for my approach with the championship. I still want to score a lot of points every round, doing my best and improve where I need to improve, etc. So So actually, if we can get the same in Kenya, perfect. If it's not, then we will work to get it again.
I was going to say, I don't think there was many people that were, let's say, upset to see you get a podium. It was a very well liked result. A lot of people loved that result. Even so that we saw on your social media that even your dog was very excited about seeing you after Sweden. Tell us a bit about Matt. Obviously, quite a big fan there in your dog.
Yeah, for sure. He is a big fan. Every time I'm leaving for a few days, when I come back, it's a bit ladder. But this time I had a surprise. My fiance Marion came with the dog at the train station, so I had the chance to see him directly from the street. That's really nice. That's for sure my biggest fan. And I went just for a run just before this call, and I was with him again. So yeah, every time I'm going back, I like to spend some time with him.
Is he around just now? No way we can get him on the podcast for any viewers, no?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, this is a first for Gravel Notes. we're getting a dog on the podcast.
There is.
What's his name?
He's not interested at all, though, is he?
Yeah,
No,
not
not
at all. He's like, what is he doing? I was just doing a nap after the run.
Oh, thanks for that. That's great.
Sorry if I'm causing any distress to the dog. That's the last thing I wanted to do.
Well, we've ticked off a blue box there, Luke.
We have. I was going to say, we've not been doing this that long this year, but it's already a first to get an animal live on the podcast. But I guess more seriously for yourself, Adrien, at the minute you're on, what was it, 29 points, something like that. You've already outscored yourself from 2 years ago, which I know obviously 2 years ago wasn't an ideal season for you, but I guess it really does show just how far you've managed to come in that gap. I know you've kind of spoken about it before, but just looking at it quite sort of frankly and openly, how different a driver and I guess a person do you feel you are now compared to 2 years ago? Because I guess the biggest difference is you've had a bit more experience behind the wheel, but to me it seems like there's more to it than that.
Well, there is some experience for sure. There is 2 years different, but also I've been working on some details. We gain some liability and also some comfort. It's all about preparation, but also during the rally, how to manage it, etc. But I think experience was also a big part, because at one point when you are in a rally, you are leading the rally, or if you are fighting, you still have to manage your tires, your car. You have to be a bit smart on how to manage it because it's long rallies. And I think the last year I've been working a lot on that, and I think it did help me to get that to the Rally 1 now. After 22, you will say 13 points, but it's not only my fault. Many times also the car was breaking down. I can tell you in Sweden, in Kenya, in Finland. So there was few rallies also that I didn't score points, also with a liability issue. So for sure now the team also have been doing some progress. The car is have been liable on the last 2 rallies, which is really positive. So at least we can score a lot of points and be third on the championship. So there is many details. I think at that level nobody is a bad driver or a good driver. I think we all have good drivers, but then it's just the small details that makes the difference.
Yeah, I guess it's probably quite an unfair question to ask in some senses because you can't explicitly know because you didn't do it. But I think a lot is made of the sort of step into Rally 2 last year and how that's helped you. But do you feel confident that actually you could have made that step if you'd stayed in the top class, or actually was moving to Rally 2 definitely the right thing for you in your career last year?
It's hard to say now, but for sure it was not a bad thing to do. For sure it was really frustrating for the beginning. I hate that for sure. But now looking where I am and the way I have done it's really positive, and I think it was the right decision to do, because I can just build myself, and I've just put a lot of things away, which just helped me to get back the feeling to drive and to enjoy the drive, because I think in 22 at the end I wasn't enjoying at all, because the pressure was there, etc. The team was pushing also a lot of pressure, but it was quite negative pressure sometimes. I prefer to have a positive one, and so then at the end, if it was just better to be in the Rally 2. They were much more focused on Hoyt and Pierre, and then I would just have to drive in Rally 2 and deliver the best result. And then now I can accept pressure from the team that we need to deliver, but I just accept it because I know I'm capable of, and it helped me.
I was just going to say, I understand you're working with a new engineer this year. Is that helped at all?
Well, I brought one engineer from the Rally 2 car. That was my engineer from the Rally 2 car. We have some new engineers also where we are working with. I think yes, for sure it helps. I think it was a good approach to bring the guy that really know me from the Rally 2, but he's done all my career in the Rally 2 with M Sport UK at least. So then we know each of us. So sometimes it helps also when you talk with your engineer, when you say something, he understands what you say because for sure he knows me. So it did help also the new guys that don't know me, for the understanding, and I think it's how the team is working better now. So it's really positive.
I think what strikes me is actually interesting that you mentioned it there, I guess, with collaboration with the team is, I guess all drivers really, if things are going well, it looks like they do feel connected and part of their team. But I honestly think you are probably, I can't think of many other drivers that look so well set and just happy and content with all your team members. You look like a real member of this M Sport team now. And I know you've been with them in various guises for a few years now, but do you feel that yourself? Do you feel like you kind of know everyone, everybody's settled, and you all just get on? And how much does that help, I guess, your own performance?
To be fair, I think I'm there since 2020. I've seen people coming, I've seen people leaving, but because I'm always at the beginning, I was the new guy, coming, so I had to discover everybody. Now I know the people who are leaving, who are coming, so I'm not the new one in the team anymore. But I have always been quite close to the people we are working with, because at the end it's a team effort. Okay, we are the drivers, we are fighting for the victory, but if something breaks down on the car, if the car is not prepared properly, then you will lose the rally. So it's a proper team effort, and those guys are in the shadow, but to be fair, they are doing a lot of job. So it's quite impressive. And I just like to know the people who are working on the car, and to feel also for them that when we get a good result, they are also part of this result. And so then I like to be close, and I think that if I'm a bit kind with them, if they are kind with me also, then they will push maybe more in a hard situation, just to get the car ready, to get the best car we can for the next rally, etc. Like if you don't like a people, you don't care if you will have a bad result. But if you like these people, if it's your friend, then you will like to aim to success and to success together. So this is why I try. I think it's my natural person. Maybe it's coming from the medicine, but so it's something that like I think we are fighting for really nice. We have a nice job anyway. We're working with rallying with a passion. So I think it's better if we just share the good thing. After sometimes I also have to say when it's wrong. So sometimes I will say that is not correct. We need to improve, but it's not because we cannot be professional. You have to be a pain in the ass for the team.
Yeah, it's always good when you get a balance, isn't it?
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, you need a balance because you don't have to be too friend, or it's just not a job. It's just too funny. But you have to have the both. You need to find the balance between professional and friendly, and I think it's how it works.
I was going to say, I know Monte Carlo 2022 was difficult for you, but you were hugely impressive for me in the fact that you went to help repair your car at M Sport. You went and chipped in and helped out. I think you earned a lot of credit, not only with the team, but in global motorsport, because there aren't many drivers that would go and chip in and help out. I can't see a Formula One driver helping repair the car. Do you know what I mean? That was very impressive.
Well, we also have to know that after the COVID, we have lost a lot of people at M Sport. So the amount of work that the guys have is massive, and it's really impressive what they are achieving. When at that time we had 5 cars. When you damage one car, it takes a lot of time to fix it to us. So it's a lot more time also for the other cars. And I think I just wanted to get some support and show that even when I do a mistake, I can also help to fix it. And also at the end, it's also helped me to know a bit more the car. So if we need to fix it on the side of the road or whatever, if something breaks down, then I can be more prepared for that. So I think it was double interest.
Yeah, that's good. I was just saying, I think a lot of people can learn from that. I think it was very impressive that you did that. You agree, Luke?
Yeah, it's what they call a win-win, that situation, really, isn't it? I think it's good for you, it's good for the team, and it's good for there is no losing that. But you're right, Tom, to highlight it, and it was a very humble answer there, Adrian, because it was not everybody would have done that. We all know that not everybody would have done that. So I think that's a good fair play moment to you.
Well, at least I'm a bit different then.
We'll move on to some news now. Obviously, there's been plenty to talk about in the WRC. The FI have announced their sort of vision for the future. We're talking about new regulations for next year, new regulations for 2026, the changes in event formats. What have you made of all this, Adrien? Is it something you're excited by?
Well, new regulation is always interesting, to be fair. But to the sporting regulation with the car, the technical regulation, it was going to be hard for me to give you any answer. But what I personally feel is just that we need to be more focused on the promotion of the sport and the sporting regulation. I don't think changing really the cars. The cars are spectacular. We have, I think, one of the most spectacular sport in the motorsport. So for me, it's more about the promotion, how we can improve. So I think for me, I would be more focused on that than changing the regulation. But at the end, I'm not a manufacturer, I'm not the FIA, etc. So it's more difficult for me to answer.
But what about events? So obviously, endurance rallies, sprint rallies. Is that something that excites you, having that variety?
Yeah, for that, I think it's part of the promotion. It's quite interesting to have a rally with a 80k stage somewhere. Then, for example, we go to Sweden. It's so much different that people have a lot of interest on this one. Then maybe we can have a shorter rally, which is a rally that we know, but it's really interesting to get there because it's where the rally is coming. And sometimes like for the example, to get Olympia back in Finland, I think for me it's fantastic. It's really nice to have a thing like that people knows and people like it and they want to see that car on that road. It's really famous. We like to see Kenya coming back. It was a really good thing, but it would be nice to have a long stage in Kenya. I think it's things like that makes some interest and then people will like to see that because it's different challenge than what we see with the other rallies or whatever.
Well, it's variety, isn't it? Which I think is, I guess, the backbone of rallying always used to be. So, as you say, I think it's nice that things are being, I guess, opened up in that regard to allow events to be a bit different. That's what makes, for me, rallying different to the rest of motorsport. Is it's not just circuit. It's different surface, different terrain every single weekend. So if there's events that can really sort of play into their strengths, that can only be seen as a good thing.
Yeah, it's a good thing. We can also talk about Canaries for next year. The good thing is this year we have Monte Carlo, which is a quite tricky rally. We've got Croatia, which is also low grip with mud, etc. Then we go to Central Europe, it's also muddy, etc. Okay, Japan is different, which is positive. But then now we're gonna bring Canaries, and Canaries is a proper, it's a proper tarmac rally, and there is not so many cuts. I've done the rally in 2020, and it was really really good, but under the rain. So it was it was quite rare in this country to get the rain, but we had 4 days of rain. That was crazy. But then it's gonna be a different tarmac rally, and I think people will like to see that. It's really the car will have to be precise, etc. Taking the grip, that would be really interesting.
Tom, I think Adrian's been peeking at our script because that's what was next, was to talk about Canaries.
You're ahead of the game, Adrien. You've caught us out. I just want to go back to the changes for next year. Obviously, we're losing hybrid power from the Rally 1 cars. Are you going to miss it? Because I guess you guys always want to have the most power possible, and when you have that taken away, is that going to be sad?
Well, for sure, the cars with the hybrid is really, really nice to drive. The push we've got when we've got engine and the hybrid is really impressive. We have 550 horsepower, which is really, really good. But at the end, you also have to understand that when we remove the hybrid in the car has been designed with the hybrid, so the weight distribution will change. You remove a lot of radiator in the back of the car. You remove the big block for the hybrid, a lot of pipes. So that many things will change. It's not only we remove the power and then go. It's much more different. They change. I think the cars will change a bit with the drivability. So at the end, it will be a challenge.
Yeah, that's interesting. That is interesting. I guess that's sort of something we haven't really thought about, is that obviously the cars are obviously designed around that. So there will be quite a lot of changes. The cars will feel a lot different next year.
Well, I think we're gonna just have to find the way to get the balance back, just because we remove a lot of weight from the back of the car, so then we just have to find a way. I don't know how it will be, so that's why I think we need a bit more explanation for the regulation and how it will be working. But yeah, at the end, it's the same for everybody, so we're gonna have to fight with that.
Obviously, we're moving on to Kenya next, the next rally in the calendar for you. It's been one that you've gone well at before, but I'd like to just sort of know and sort of explain to the listeners how challenging is this rally, because it is perhaps the toughest on the calendar, but how difficult is it as a driver?
Well, it's difficult because I think you need a different pace note sometimes. That we have the pace note for the maximum of push when we are like in Portugal or Sardinia or whatever. But then now, sometimes even in a straight, you have to put in your pace note like 500 meter, keep right or keep left. And so it's already difficult. We have some danger, a bit like in cross country rallies, like a bit in the Dakar, like where you can break the car, so you have to be caution. But then the challenge, it's a bit, I compare it a bit with like the Monte Carlo rally, but on gravel. There is places where you can push. It's okay, you can really, really push. And there is places where you really have to slow down, or you will just break the car or get a puncture or things like that. So you really have to have a nice pace note to help you to change the pace in the stage. But where it's hard is sometimes you want to protect your car. Okay, so you slow down, but you want to slow down, not be losing too much time. So why it's difficult is I will slow down or I will break the car. But another driver can be slowing down less, but he will get a big advantage at the end of the stage. But maybe at some point he will break the car, but you never know. And at the end of the rally, you arrive, you're like, well, like I remember in 21, I was fourth. I was really conserving the car a lot of places, and I'm like, maybe I should have pushed a little bit more, trying to get the podium. You see what I mean? Just because maybe I was slowing down too much on the rocky part. So the challenge is a bit to find a balance to protect your car and the fun to drive the car to protect it in a rocky place.
Yeah, it must be really difficult and frustrating at times. Yeah. No, I was going to say, yeah, chime in, Luke. I mean, I think it's really difficult and challenging as a mindset, isn't it, surely, Luke?
I don't know how they do it. Put simply, but it's why we sit here and write about the rallying and not drive the cars, isn't it? But it's interesting to think about, because it makes total sense what Adrien is saying, but because you don't have split times in cars now, which has been a thing for a while, you have no idea how quickly your competitors are going. So you might think that you're doing the right thing, but you could get to the end of the stage and someone's managed that balance better. So it's a real thinking man's rally, isn't it? You can't just drive this one flat out, Adrien, and hope for the best. You really need to have a strategy from the start and hope it pays off.
Yeah, exactly. But as we said, you say, okay, at the end of the stage, maybe he's faster, but maybe he have made some damage on the car that you don't see it now. But next stage, maybe he will break something. So maybe you will know that, okay, we were right until the end of it. But you will know that only at the end of the rally. You can even break in the last stage of the rally. So it's really hard to know. And as you said, we don't have any split time now in the stages. So when you start for the Kedong stage, which will be 31K, you never know where you are. You can be 30 seconds faster than the others, but you don't know. You can be 1 minute slower. You still don't know. It's really, really, really hard sometimes, but we have to deal with it. I think it's why the challenge is quite impressive and quite interesting for us, but also for you to follow it, because every time many things can happen in every stage in Kenya.
I guess this year as well, the challenge is changing a little bit because the event has moved back to its more traditional Easter date, which always in the past at least has brought some more, shall we say, difficult weather. But I've noticed even in your test, Adrien, that the car was carrying the snorkel on it as well, which if nothing else just looks cool. So I'm really glad to see that that's back. But are you expecting the rally to feel a lot different this time compared to how you've done it before, or should it be fairly similar?
Well, we are right in the middle of the raining season now in Kenya, so we can expect that where the place where we had the fesh in the past maybe can be full of mud. So then it's gonna be, I don't know what to expect, to be fair. I think it's gonna be new this year. We can expect to pass a lot of water splash, but really muddy, etc. Like the old school videos that we have seen when the car was covering of mud and even the drivers was getting stuck in some places. So I think in that part it's gonna be new, and we're gonna have to be smart to get away with that mud in some places, and then again I think it will be even more challenging that to find.
because you can go flat. You can go try to go flat in the mud, but if there is a rock under it and you don't see it, even you will break the car. So I think the preparation during the wiki will be really important for that. But again, we're gonna do the wiki on Monday. If you start to have an heavyweight on Wednesday and we start the rally on Thursday, it will be just surprised.
Do you think the snorkel then is more relevant this year because of the date change? Is that why the teams have done it?
Well, we didn't have so many water splash the previous years, but it wasn't in the rainy season. Now it's the rainy season, and I think when there is a big storm over there, it can be really, really muddy. But I think even the previous years, it would have been nice to have the snorkel in some places just because of the fish. When the engine is just a vacuum, so just when you are full gas, it's taking every air, everything, but then all the dust from the fish was going in the air filter. So now at least we can also maybe use it to avoid that. So to avoid the engine like hitting some dust or things like that. You imagine the amount of dust we were going in the airbox, it was massive. So I think it would have been nice to have it, but I think now it's much more relevant for the mud for sure.
I always thought it was quite strange that in the past they were allowed, or Rally 2 cars could have the snorkels, but Rally 1 couldn't. So I'm glad that regulation has sort of been tweaked. I think OJ was calling for it last year and stuff, so it's nice to see they've done that. I think it's probably necessary, as you say, Adrien, for this year. But yeah, it's nice to see that's their balance to things. It always was a bit strange to me that the lower class car with theoretically less technology was allowed this sort of advantage and the top cars weren't. So it's good to see that's been fixed.
But again, I think for the promotion of the sport, it's nice to have something different. Now the people are like, we want to have the car with the snorkel. You know, if people are buying like the small cars, all the models, and now you will have, I want to have the one from Safari with the snorkel on it because it's different again, you know. So, and I think it makes the sport quite cool also.
Tommy's called you out. You're gonna have to buy that model now because we know you're a man that has many model cars in your collection.
You do say that, and I do actually have a rally car model with a snorkel on my desk. Actually, I'll just grab it now, shall I? But yes, I do have an old Lancia 037 Safari spec with snorkel. So so I will definitely be buying one of those probably. So yeah, that's interesting. But yeah, as I said, another traditional factor of Kenya that we all see is the wildlife. Obviously, you have zebras. There's all sorts of animals that you come across. As a driver, how do you mentally deal with that? Because you're going through these stages so fast, and then a zebra comes out of nowhere. I mean, how do you deal with that?
The wildlife I think it makes the rally even more interesting. It's you never know, and the wildlife, it's quite like, I think the monkeys are really, really smart, and they know where is the road, and they can be waiting on the side of the road. Whereas zebra, you don't know why, he's just crossing in front of you. Then you have the warthog, etc. So I think every animal is a bit different with his reaction when the car is coming. But at the end, we have to brake. You have to let them pass, and we have to accept that we're gonna lose time. Or if you hit them, then you can kill them, but also you will damage your car. So it's a double lose. So at the end, you just slow down. Where is he going? Left. Okay, now we go again. That's the only thing we can only do. But sometimes it's just nice. You are driving and you have a giraffe running next to you. Okay.
Does that get distracting on recce as well, Adrien? Because we're talking about that from a competition perspective, but obviously when you go through the stages beforehand, you're going at an even slower speed. So I guess potentially the animals are even more likely to be nearer the roads because you're not coming as immediate a threat. So is it quite difficult to not be wowed by your surroundings almost when you're doing that practice?
Well, the best in that case is if you want to watch them, you just stop. You watch them and then you go again. At least you don't sacrifice your wikis. This is what I do. Maybe some of us don't do, but for me, I just prefer to stop. I look at them and then go again. So at least but yeah, for sure there is distraction. You are always like, there was one there. There was one there. That's nice. And you are always chasing the one that you never see, you know. So it's because we see a lot. So it's like, no, it's enough. I've seen enough. But this one I've never seen it, or this one I've seen only one or two. So that's, you are chasing also a little bit, but we also have a lot of road section where we can just stop watching the wildlife and also the landscape, because we have a beautiful landscape in Kenya. The people also, etc. So it's there was a lot of distraction, but we can still work.
In terms of your own performance, then, you sort of mentioned it earlier when talking about Sweden, that you're really determined not to let this podium finish change, I guess, your perspective, and I guess you'll hope the expectations folk have on you. Your plan won't change, but this rally has been one that's been kind to you in the past. I think it was a maiden stage win here 3 years ago, wasn't it? So you've got good memories here. It's a sort of rally that if you're clever, it will sort of repay you. So I guess what would be a good result for you this weekend? What do you think is possible? Because I guess in a way everybody starts from zero, even more so in Kenya because of this specific challenge. So what do you think you can get out of it?
Well, I think if you were asking me for Croatia, it would have been different. For Kenya, I think everything can happen. We can win, we can be on the podium, or we can be nowhere because we have break something on the car or whatever. So I think it's really, really open. My best result was 4th in 21, and I felt that I wasn't pushing enough on the rocky place. Then also, but in 22 the rear diff was broken, so then in the opposite end really early in the rally. So you see, it's 2 different years, two different results. So I think many things can happen. I would just try to get the same approach than 21, maybe a bit faster in some places because I have a bit more experience with the car and the reliability. But it's really open. Maybe it's going to be a podium. Maybe it can be a victory. We never know. For sure, we're going to try to get some good points because for the championship, it's important for us. We are still on the championship, so if we leave with some good points, it's really important.
I was going to say, obviously, with Kenya, we're going to see Cali and EP back for Hyundai and Toyota. I just want to think about like your rivals. How are you feeling about that? Who do you think's going to be your biggest rival there?
Well, I think I prefer to have Calais than Sébastien Ogier, to be fair, in Kenya, because he won it 3 times, I think. So, but at the end, I think for me in Kenya, it's not the fastest who will win the rally. It's more the guy we can get away with get out of all the trouble, punctures, damaging the car, liability issue on the car, etc. So at the end, for sure, the competition is really hard on the rally one, but it's not always the fastest in Kenya. So that's more open, I think, than if it was I don't know, Finland. If you say Finland with Calais and Lapi, I said yeah, okay, not easy. But in Kenya, it's a bit more open. So I just do my race as I'm doing now, beginning of the year and last year also. I just do my race. I'm pushing where I feel I can push, and I push back when I feel it's not the right time or it's not the right place in the stage. And I think that will be only my approach, and the others, I will just... Anyways, they are not fighting for the full championship, but the guys in front of me, yes.
Well, we're not totally finished with the Adrien, because we do have some fan questions that have been sent in to us for you to answer. So we've got a couple of questions for you to answer. We'll start off with a question from, and I'll try and get this pronounced correctly, Martin Saramets. His question is, what is your favourite rally and why?
It's difficult. I like every rallies, but Monte Carlo have always been in my heart because it's the rally I was going with my brother, watching all the cars and watching the rally. It was the only one in the WRC, so the Monte Carlo is quite special. It's quite special for me. It was my debut also in the World Rally Championship, etc. So I've always been special, but I've discovered everything in Monte Carlo. So yeah, Monte Carlo.
That's a good answer. The next one I think is really interesting because I think it's something that people don't always think about, and I know you've got quite a specific one. Marco has asked, what is your pre-stage / rally routine?
Well, I always have a routine to get my body ready. So I run, I do some jumping jacks. I get my visibility quite ready. Also, I check that I'm ready to fight, ready to be in the stage, making sure that I'm fully focused in the stage. So I have a quite long routine, but it can be shorter. It doesn't have to be always the same, but it just helps me to check if I'm ready or not.
Our next question comes from Antti, who would like to know, which rally would you like to see rejoin the championship?
There was plenty of rally I would like to see. I would like to participate, so it will be... Well, Mexico, I like it. It's a shame it's not in the championship. It's the one from last year. Argentina, I've never done it. Apparently drivers like it. New Zealand, I haven't done it, or Australia. Chile, but one I would like to be coming, and it haven't been in the past, I think, is in the US. I think a while in the USA would be really interesting to have. You can see the how to say, all the people watching the Formula One in US now. It's quite impressive. So I think it would be nice to have it in US, and I think there is many different rallies in US that it would be interesting to know to race.
This isn't a point for me to give an opinion, but I'm just going to second that because I think the rally would be great, but I think secondly, from a promotional standpoint, we talked about it earlier, but the USA is a massive market. If the WRC gets it right, that's a big opportunity to introduce rallying to a completely new and green audience. So yeah, I would agree. I think that's a good choice, Adrien. The final question we've got comes from Hutchie, and actually this is really intriguing. How well do the teams and drivers know the differences between the top cars? Could you predict before the rally starts which stages will suit each car?
It's always difficult to know because the cars are always constantly improving. The teams are always pushing to improve their car, and so then if we feel we are losing time in some places, we're gonna work on it to reduce the gap with the other cars. After we look at the past, where which team was successing, for example, in Kenya or in Sweden or in Monte Carlo. So it's difficult, but to know exactly which stage, I think that's why the rally is really interesting, is you never know who will win the stage because you have the car, but you also have the driver. Things can happen. It's really difficult to predict. To be fair, we are just more focused on where we can improve with our car. And then we're going to try to deliver the best result instead of looking at where the others are good, but then you don't spend time to improving your car. You're spending time to see where they are. So for sure, if you look at last year, Toyota was 1, 2, 3, 4 in Kenya. So you would say they are maybe the favorites in the next rally. Okay, that was quite clear last year. Hopefully this year will be different, and maybe this time they will be not in the top 4. You never know. It's really difficult. But for sure, they have been strong in the past in this rally, so I would say maybe Toyota in Kenya. But we'll see, because I think both teams have been working hard, and so maybe they have reduced the gap, maybe they passed it. So I think you never know. You never really know who you will be at the end. Shakedown is a good try to see where we are compared to the others, performance-wise. But the rest to predict is so hard. And if the snow comes, if the rain comes, or if it's full sunny, it's completely different. So every time it's gonna be different.
If I can just quickly add though,
Do you agree with that?
Well, I just think it's really interesting what you said about shakedown, because I think we were always told not to look too much into the times because you never know how hard people are pushing and stuff. But do you actually generally look at those, and does that give you a bit of a sort of barometer or a measure of where you are? Like, are you all pushing flat out and it's effectively okay, we're missing here sort of thing, or is there variances in strategy, do you think, between teams and drivers?
Well, what we see on the video, on TV, so on the first run, I would say you will not see so much because some drivers needs a little bit of time just to go back in the car after the week car. We've been driving all the week, etc. So the first pass is sometimes some drivers are pushing directly from the beginning, sometimes a bit less. But then at the end, when you are on the second or third or fourth pass, you know the stage. You want to see where is the performance. So at one point, I think every time the drivers are trying to push at one point of the shakedown. Maybe one will be on the third, maybe on the second. It's difficult to compare because then the order, the running order is different. But when you look at some statistics, many times when the guy win the shakedown, most of the time he also win the rally.
You've read my mind, Adrien. That's what I'm going to do now, once we're done here, is go searching all of that to find out. I love that kind of stuff, as you can maybe tell. So that's really interesting. Thanks for that. That's enlightened me today.
So does that mean I'm now doing a shakedown quiz for the next Barry's Brain?
Yes.
Very interesting, actually. I'll be honest with you, that's really an interesting answer I didn't think we were going to get today. So that has certainly set our brains going. But I'd just like to say thank you to all the fans that have contributed questions to this. It's really nice to have your input into the podcast, and thanks for listening. Like, it really is nice to have your involvement. So we hope to do more driver interviews over the next few episodes. So please do send in your questions, and we'll try and get through as many as possible. But right, well, I guess we'll move on to our final segment, which is a little bit awkward for me and Luke now, because we're going to have to predict how we think Rally Kenya is going to go with Adrien sitting right here. So this will be a little bit interesting for us. So Luke, then, your prediction for Kenya, what are you thinking?
First of all, I like how you put that context in and immediately threw to me. Thanks for that. I would say... Well, are we doing top three? Or a top three or just a winner?
Up to you. I'll let you make the choice this week.
Okay. Just to cover my back, then, I'm going to go with just a winner because it's easier. And purely I'm going to say it because I think he has been close in the past to doing it and is probably in need of quite a good result. I'm going to say Oik Tanak for me. Not a Toyota for the first time ever, I think. Yeah,
that is interesting. And certainly Hyundai are going to have a new prop shaft, which was the big headline from last year with EP. And so there's merit to your thinking there. I get it. And also, he definitely needs a result. You're right. That's correct. I think for me, it's probably boring, but I do think it's going to be Cali. Just purely because of last year, we saw how hard he was pushing Seb right at the end there, you know, and I think he was sort of told to back off in the end. So I'm probably going to say Cali. Certainly after what happened in Sweden, he's going to be desperate to come out there and prove that he's still very much the leader of that team, even though he's only there on a part-time basis. So that's my prediction. It's boring. I do think Adrian's going to go very well, though. I'm very hopeful. I think he could be in their podium mix, Adrien. So we'll hope to see that.
We'll see. Thank you. We'll see. To be fair, if you ask me a question, I have no idea.
That's the smart answer, isn't it? I think that's the smart answer to the question. Well, I'll be honest with this, right, Adrien? For our Sweden preview, I was so confident Rovanperä won that rally. And I believe I actually said about you guys, I said I didn't expect M Sport to do as well as Monte Carlo, and that didn't go well for me. So you can never predict these things. It never works how you think.
Well, I'd like to wrap it up there. I want to say a massive thank you to Adrien for joining myself and Luke today. It's been really awesome talking to you. It's been really fun. I hope you've enjoyed it. We'd like to do more of this in the future. So we'd hope to get a few more drivers on the podcast to do a similar thing that we've done with Adrien. But yeah, thank you, Adrien. I really appreciate your time.
It was a pleasure. Yeah, thank you very much. And see you in Kenya, maybe.
We will see you in Kenya.
Are you coming?
Yes, I will be in Kenya, so I'll see you there.
So see you in Kenya?
See you in Kenya. Remember, if you like what you hear, click on the description below and head over to the Gravel Notes podcast channel, where we will continue to cover the 2024 World Rally Championship season. Thanks for watching.